Thank you for joining me. I am at it again. At it again. Thank you for taking a moment out of your busy schedule to listen to faith, purpose, and politics. These discussions that I intend to have with you and with others will be quite interesting. There's so much happening in this world. So much going on around us. And life is a marathon, not a sprint. In politics, oh yeah, it fired the gun. And all of us are off to the races. Far too many of us are running the races of our lives with no faith, no sense of purpose, just day in and day out, trying to stay afloat, trying to stay positive, trying to stay encouraged. And life is lifing, as the young people say. Life is lifing all around us. And I'm totally convinced, and I'm totally sold out that God has a purpose and a plan for each and every one of us. Each and every one of us, we have a lane. God has specific things He wants all of us to do. In this race, in this journey, we got to be intentional. We got to be steadfast. We got to have faith. And faith, as the word says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It's the things we hope for. It's the things we know in our spirit. We don't see it in front of us, but we feel it. We feel it. So again, faith, purpose, and politics is where we're going to take these discussions in this new podcast. So I'm podcasting again, not because honestly I want to. I'm just going to be honest. I grew up in that generation where children were to be seen and not heard. So I struggle with a whole lot of talking. I'm a better listener. I'm a much better doer. I believe in getting things done. I'm solution driven. But I'm not big on a whole lot of talking. But I recognize in this season, in such a time as this, we have to talk and we have to communicate. So I am myself being forced to have conversations and to even podcast again. For those of you who follow me politically and follow me and know me personally, podcasting, I've done it. I've done it a few times. This is another season of podcasting. But this is a season where, again, we cannot afford to sit and be quiet and sit idle. We have to really, again, connect with others, because on this journey called life, am I over a century now that I've been on this earth? No, over not a century, y'all. I'm trying to age myself. Half a century. I'm 52. So there's over half a century that I have been on this earth. I think I learned a few things, and I still have a lot to learn. I feel like on the other side of 50, you have to go through whatever that is that's behind me, those years behind me. I realize you got to go through those years to even get to a place where you have some sense of understanding and some sense of, again, walking in, and for me it's faith. I believe that over this half a century, my faith muscle has been strengthened. I have been through, and I have a lot that I, again, haven't shared, because again, I'm not one to be doing a whole lot of talking. I'm definitely solution driven, but there's going to be some things in this upcoming podcast that I'm going to share that I haven't shared, that I haven't been comfortable with sharing, but I'm going to share. So as we dive into these coming weeks, my intentions are to be here for you and for all of us weekly with this podcast. Not too long, because I know everybody's life is busy and life again is life. And so I'm not going to be long-winded, but I do want to bring you some substance again on this journey called life, specifically with faith and purpose and politics, which I sometimes call politricks, because the games that are being played, we're the players. They're playing all of us, keeping us divided, keeping us fighting each other, keeping us busy, because the more we are at odds, the more they have an advantage, and they keep winning. But when we know the game and we play the game against them, we can win. So that's politics, but we'll dive into that again. Faith, purpose, and politics. So this title came to me, as I said, and as you heard in an interview that I did many, many years ago. God gave me this, and I didn't understand it then, and I still don't all the way understand it, just to be honest with you. But I know that where I am in my faith walk, I have to not only just share this, but I have to allow people to watch me in this faith walk. And that's been uncomfortable, to tell people and allow people to see me not be strong, allow people to see me for some that would look, it looks like failure, but God always has a plan. And somebody told me one time I land on my feet, but I just know that God has been carrying me the entire time. No matter what it looks like to others, no matter what it feels like to me, I am clear that God is carrying me. And He is requiring me to focus. And for me, focus is a very quiet place. My children used to tease and say our house was like a library. And I used to walk around very quietly because I didn't even want to hear my footsteps. I used to just I didn't even want to, because I needed to hear whenever God was ready to send me a message. I needed to hear, because what I found in my faith walk is that He doesn't yell at me. He's quiet, and it'll be a drop in my spirit, but I have to be quiet and still in order to hear Him. So this book, Faith, Purpose, and Politics, really is the beginning, my beginning. In 2013, God called me, and I speak about it in the book, and I heard it as clear as day, but I had to go through some terrible years prior to this calling, some terrible years, in order for me to be able to hear God in 2013. So in this book, I talk about that calling. And then even on the other side of that calling, what that was. And to this day, if I could just be honest, because I'm going to be, I have yet to even go back and read the book. But you can get it. And you can read it. I just haven't, to this day, haven't even had the strength to do so. Because it was such a dark place. Those years prior, those years I went through and the calling, it was dark for many years. So I had to write it. And I remember one day when I was struggling, and if anybody's ever written a book or has a desire to write a book, you know that I'm gonna tell you, it is there's moments when you're writing where you can't. They call it writer's block. I don't know what it was. It was such a heaviness for me. I just couldn't write. And I knew I had to finish the book. I knew I had to. So I remember that day specifically. I went and laid across the foot of my bed. And I just laid there. And I literally felt God. Felt this lift. Something pulled me up and said, get up. Get up. And I was struggling because I'm an audio learner. And I have to, my way of learning, if I can hear it, then it, for me, I'm able to comprehend. So that day I was struggling because after all I had written, I knew it was lots of grammatical errors. I knew it was like it was coming out, and I was trying to get it out, but I knew I had all kind of errors, and I was so frustrated because I'm like, I gotta be able to read this. I have to know if this is written right. And I was just done that day. And I went again, laid across the bed, and I felt something lift me up, and I had to get back to my computer, and God showed me, because what I was struggling with was something that's in Word. In the Word, when you type it in Word will actually read it back to you. I didn't know that feature existed. So when God picked me up off the bed out of my slumber and my anger and feeling sorry for myself and all the emotions that I was going through in that moment, I got back to my computer, and God showed me literally where the feature was that would read back what I wrote so that I could hear myself. But God. And I knew I had to finish this book. So this book, y'all, Faith, Purpose, and Politics, is very specific to that moment in time. But this podcast, I'm going to bring you guests. I'm going to bring you articles. I'm going to bring you information. And we're going to talk about faith and what it means to have faith. Because many of us grew up in the church, but have left the church. And that, and I'm talking about myself. I tried to find a church home, but I haven't been able to find a place that I feel like suits me or fits me. But God is still God, and He's bigger than four walls, and He still reigns, and He's still speaking, and He's still moving, and He's still working, and He's still blessing beyond these four walls. So what I think I'm missing, or a side of me feels like I'm missing, I still have my faith. Every ounce of it and more, because of all I've been through. So again, in this podcast, moving forward, we're going to talk about faith and what it means to have faith. And how do you move in faith? How do you survive in faith? How do you thrive in faith? We're going to dive into faith. We're going to talk about purpose. What does it mean to live on purpose? Because those of us who do, it looks scary to a lot of people around us. When you're walking in what God has called you to do, because you're living by faith, and you know that this purpose, this greater calling, you can't run from it. Because once you're clear on your purpose and why you are here, you move different. And when you move different and you're not moving with the crowd, you stand out and stick out like a sore thumb. People gonna laugh at you. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna tell you what you should do. It's gonna be ugly. But that's when your faith kicks in and purpose drives you. And that's when you really living. That's when you really living. So this thing called purpose is what's planted in your spirit, I believe, before you even got here. God gave us gifts and talents, and then he gave us an assignment. And whatever that assignment is here on this earth, you have to fulfill it. I'm afraid to find out what happens. Well, I've been disobedient. And I know what it's like when God has to chastise you. Because he did me, he got me. Got me good. And I never want to do it. I never want to be disobedient again. So whatever this purpose is that's on my life, which I'm almost clear about. I know that he's called me to do this activism, this advocacy. He called me to the beauty and barber industry and made me fall in love with the industry. And then I became passionate about fighting for the industry, which led me down this rabbit hole of politics, where I've run for office and now am a lobbyist, registered as a Georgia lobbyist, and intend on lobbying wherever there's a need on behalf of people, not for an entity, not for an agenda, but for the people. Because sometimes as activists, and this is something that I've seen along the way, that they look at you funny when you go into some of these spaces and places and you don't have, or they don't hear you and they don't respect you. But when you go into some of these places and you suited and booted, you degreed. When I say booted, you degreed. People know who you are, and they know that other people know who you are, and you bring a little influence in the room. They hear you. They hear you. So faith, purpose, politics is where we're going to go with this podcast. So be on the listen. Be on the lookout. I'm just going to ask that you share this. Again, I won't be long-winded, but I'm intentional about coming to you weekly and bringing you information that you wouldn't already have. Because guess what? Life is lifing. Your days are running into your nights, and your nights are running into your days, and you're waking up in this rat race that you just can't seem to get out of. So much is coming at all of us right now. Technology is winning. And I love technology. For those of you that know, my undergrad is in computer information systems. I like technology. My master's is in law. I like this level of engagement politically in the legal system. Don't want to be in a courtroom. But I like the process because I'm solution driven, and I want a solution that's a blanket solution versus a patch. I don't want to be in a courtroom arguing cases, one case at a time. You set precedents, but that doesn't always help everybody. So how do we create systems or infiltrate systems to make them work for everybody. So there, to me, is where the work lies. I'm also a mediator here in the state of Georgia. So if ever you have any mediation needs and need a neutral ear, because I'm the type of person I like to hear both sides of the argument. I don't make a decision as a mediator. The parties make decisions. They just need someone to help them hear. But faith, purpose, and politics. And politics is a strange beast. It's a strange beast. It's an arena where one hand washes the other. And if you can't even get mad at them. I don't. I've learned, I did. Let me back up. I did. But I've learned that it's a game. And the most strategic players, they play both sides of the fence. And there's a strategy there. And you have to remove your emotions. And again, you have to be neutral. Because one side is probably passionate, and the other side is more than likely angry, and we have to figure out how to bring two opposing parties in the middle so that we can get the best solution. So politics is a game that we have to play. It's the air you breathe. It's the water you drink. It's the shoes on your feet. It's everything. And everything is political. So we cannot not be a part of the process. Some people feel like voting is enough. I can tell you it's not. Because that's what they want you to do. And I say they very vaguely. But they know who they are, and they know I'm talking about them. But they just want you to quote unquote vote and participate. So they can feel like they have engaged you. And then most of the time, after people vote, they go back to their normal lives, whatever that looks like. And they can do what they want to do. That's how they play the game. But here's where you disrupt the game. Here's where you make them do what they said that they were going to do. You stay in the game. You watch them every step of the way. You pay attention to the policies. You pay attention to the bills. You pay attention to what they're doing behind the scenes, because most of this stuff doesn't make the media. Let me bring that back. Let me bring that up. Doesn't make the media. This is why we do our homework. And I will be bringing you some of this stuff. Trust and believe. This is where we do our homework, so that we can see what they are doing and what they are not doing. Because what they want you to believe is that they're working for you. And then every 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, these election cycles roll around. They show up giving you what they said they have done. But this is where we need to have our receipts. Because a lot of this stuff, they play with the words. They haven't done half the things that they said they've done. But we're gonna play politics, y'all. We're gonna watch. We're gonna listen. We're gonna learn. And we're gonna play politics. So again, faith, purpose, and politics. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. And politics fire the gun. And everybody's just trying again to make it, stay afloat, live the American dream. But what we're witnessing in this economy has not been a dream. inflation, everything is astronomically expensive, everything. And I don't believe there's any turning back. But I do believe there are solutions. And our solutions are going to take us coming together, listening, learning, respecting each other, working together, collaborating, getting in your lane, going back to faith, knowing your purpose. Because once you're in your lane, it's smooth sailing. And when you meet people along the way and these opportunities come to collaborate, that's how we win. That's how we win. Get in your lane. So again, understanding and having faith, knowing your purpose. And since politics fired the gun, we're going to drive. We're going to drive. So this podcast is going to be exciting, encouraging, insightful. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. We have work to do. We have some serious work to do. And we're going to win. We're going to beat them at their own game. So I am Tamara Johnson Sheely, and this is Faith, Purpose, and Politics. And if you hadn't gotten the book, please do, because then you'll begin to understand more about who I am. And as you listen to this podcast, it'll start to all make sense, because again, all of this is rooted in faith and purpose and politics, and this game that they're playing on all of us. This is going to be the blueprint to winning, and all of us winning together. So be on the lookout. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. So join me weekly for information, insight, inspiration, education. We're going to have a darn good time. So I am Tamara Johnson Sheely. Go to the website, Tamara, Tamara, Sheely, Shealey, and get the book. Get the book. Follow me. Lots of activity coming up in 2025. So be ready, because we're about to hit the gas.